everyone. The next session for today focuses on women and leadership and how can we help build the next line of women leaders. The panelists for this discussion are Amandeep Arora, Associate Director and Head of PR and Communications at MobiKwik; Bhawna Sharma, Head of Strategic Communications and Social Media at Western Digital India; Gayathri Pradeep, GM for Corporate Communications at Bangalore International Airport; Smita Basu, Head of Corporate Communications at Godrej and Boyce; and Sunaina Jairath, Head of Communications at CRED. Moderating the panel discussion today is Sarika Chavan, Vice President at Weber Shandwick. All eyes and ears on you now, Sarika.
Okay, anyways, I think we can start with our conversation on this very important topic in our lives. I'm sitting across with so many amazing women leaders here, and I would like to start with one interesting, I would say, a anecdote or a quote that I read from a book that I'm reading currently by Indira Nooyi. I'm sure all of you all must have heard about it, but something I want to know what's your view. It starts with Nooyi's words, which is, "I'll never forget coming home after being named president of PepsiCo back in 2001. My mother was visiting at that time. 'I got great news for you,' I shouted. She replied, 'It can wait. We need to go out and get some milk,' the mother said. So I go out, get the milk, and when I come back, I'm hopping mad. I say, 'I have great news for you. I've just been named president of PepsiCo, and all you want me to do is go out and get milk.' Then she says, the mother, 'Let me explain something to you. You may be president of PepsiCo, but when you step into this house, you are a wife and mother first. Nobody can take that place. So leave that crown in the garage.'" Now that's quite thought provoking when we talk about leadership and we talk about women needs to be there. Do you think the thought comes from our home, ourselves, our families before we talk about it? Bringing that facet in the organization. Where do you think it starts from in terms of women being in the leadership position? Do you think our families support us or do not, or it could be the other way around, that a woman could be in a great position at work, but when she comes home, she plays the dual role? Hi, Smita. Okay, I was just talking about a quote by Indira Nooyi's chapter, one book, talking about how mother was telling her that you are a homemaker first. You may be the president of PepsiCo somewhere, but right now you need to be a homemaker, a mother, and a wife. So my point is it that it begins from home about what your leadership role or how you are presented versus at work. So if Amandeep, if you'd like to start and say something about this.
So, I would like to say that if I am here, I'm because of my family. So, I'm a single mother. If my parents would have not supported me, especially my mom, to encourage me to go out and work, and that would have not been possible. Of course, when I go home, I'm mother and then a daughter. That role no one can take away. But the support is gradually changing. Parents are realizing the importance, how important it is to women to go out, work, not just work, rise in their field and have a leadership position. So I got that support from my family. So
Bhavna, your thoughts on the same?
Thank you, Sarika. Very pertinent question. So, see, I see support and everything is all that really nice and important. But what I see is that because of these things, there are very deep-seated barriers these play when it comes to woman empowerment or for her, advancement in the career. See, look at the gaps that this cause in a woman's career. A woman is expected to play a mother, a daughter, a wife first, prioritize her family, then her career. And because of that, sometimes she's forced to take those gap in her career. While man gets away with all of this with impunity and focuses on his career. I'm sorry if I'm sounding harsh, nothing against men for this, but that's the unfortunate part. There was this post on LinkedIn a few I think a couple of months back, Human of Mumbai, it's called, if I'm not wrong. And there was this post about this woman, a bodybuilder, and she had to go for a championship and she had lost her father-in-law. So she had to go there and stay there for 15 days or something, or for a month, something like that. And she couldn't take her protein, she couldn't have non-veg, she couldn't go to the gym, all those things. So I was thinking, If it were a man instead of her in that situation, would anybody expect him to be there at his in-laws place for 15 days and not take care of that championship, an international championship? Would we expect that of a man? I'm not sure. I don't know. I am leaving that to you. The problem is that if a woman misses something as small as a PTM, so what is it called? Parent teacher meeting of her child, she's stigmatized because of that. So these are, while there are a lot of reasons why women are not making it to the top, but I think these barriers, these hindrances are also pulling her back, this prioritizing her family, which is important. But if I don't choose to prioritize my family, if my career is important to me, are you going to be okay with that? That is the big concern, the society more than her family. So in a family where you're using the same yardstick to measure a man and a woman's responsibilities, what is expected of them, unfortunately they are still anomalies. They are abrasions to the rule. That's not standard thing. So I think these are some of the reasons that women are held back when it comes to their career advancements.
True. So there are very pertinent point you would like to add to this, what you're trying to say about Virat Kohli.
No, actually, not taking any names, but what Bhavna said is very relevant. A bodybuilder whose father-in-law passed away, and she had to. I mean, it was expected that she would prioritize that over anything else. Whereas any male sports person, and it's not just his example. You will hear multiple examples like this. That when a male sports person prioritized his match or his training
Hmm.
over a tragedy in the family, they are eulogized as made of grit and what's the kind of determination they have. It's usually never the other way around, that oh, you shouldn't come to play, you should be with your family at that point in time, whereas the tables almost always turn when it's a woman sports person, in that. So I think I quite agree with Bhavna's point there.
Thank you. Gayatri, would you like to agree on that? Or you think it happens in the corporate world in similar manner?
Corporate world in a similar manner, I would say, like this generation, at least the generation of who are in their 20s now, I see a vast difference to what we've been. I come from the previous generation, and what I have seen is that the responsibility is right, as said by Bhavna, Sunaina, and Amandeep. Responsibility is usually, I have two grown up kids, and if they don't turn out to be good, I am blamed rather than my partner. So it is the mother who's usually questioned for how the children turn up. And I have seen it happen in the previous generations, of how a woman is not allowed to actually speak in a more authoritative tone. You've been told from your childhood that as a woman you should mellow down, you should respect, give more respect. And whereas a man, if he's more authoritative, is really applauded for his leadership skills, and he's going to do really well in his life, so it's automatically accepted. So I've seen that happening in the previous generation, but I would say that my generation of mothers, the way we've raised our children, it's equally. Like I give one work to my daughter, and immediately she asks me, "What have you given my brother? Like, what work have you given him?" So that's the next question that comes. So I can see a vast difference to how they're being raised these days, and I can see the level of confidence that my daughter has today. I didn't have that during her age at all. So I can see that improving so much. She has a role model in me to see and grow. So things are improving, workplace as well. There are more women leaders now. Definitely a lot more to do on that front. But things are, of course, improving and going the right way.
So is it that we are choosing to take it up on us, or do we feel guilty somewhere about this whole upbringing of our kids and taking a step back? Like, Smita, I would like to hear your views on that. I've known you closely. I've seen you work day and night and making sure that you take care of your daughter as well. So your thoughts. You're on mute.
God, we discussed this just yesterday. No, so thanks for that, Sarika. But yeah, so I think it's about the choices you make. Honestly, it's yes, there is an external force that might be making it more challenging. Of course, makes it more challenging. I think we come from a very privileged society, and it's not the same for everyone else. But it's also about the choices that we make. It did I make the choice of not staying back home and being part of my, maybe like a lot of people say they want to see their child grow. Uh, did I take that option not to sit back? Yes, I did, and it's a choice that I make, and as long as I stand by it. If you make a choice to stay back and take a sabbatical and just take your career to a point where you want to be at, then that's your choice, and that's a good choice. So I don't think I'm in a position to judge that, but it has to be your responsibility and what you choose for yourself. um, I am going to still, Sarika, take the privilege of jumping back to your last question, where you said that, does it come from within? Yeah, from the society that you come from, or from the upbringing, or the family that you are in. Yes, it does. Of course, it does. I've seen a lot of women who did not have a choice. Like I said, I have a choice, but there are people who don't have a choice, and they have to stay back. So most of the women drop out between their junior and middle management, right? And because of the milestones in our life, um, unfortunately, men don't have ovaries, so they can't carry the child. But we do have to do that, and there's some very physically we have to be there. But it's a lot about family and the people around you, and hence I'm hoping that most of the audience today are men and not women.
Exactly. That's the intent. I hope. I think we will get the
Yeah,
stats on how many men were listening to us more than
yeah,
women. Another interesting fact that I came across, while we don't even need to do the research, but like 70% of the workforce in PR industry are women. But when we look at the leadership level, there are barely 30%. What happens to them when they reach the leadership position, and then they probably take a back seat, or you think that something goes wrong at that level, the leaders do not see the potential in the women, or do they misunderstand that this woman is married, she had children, she's probably not able to take this forward? I really need to know your thoughts, because we have many probably younger audience sitting listening to us and would want to learn from us in terms of what is it that we need to do at that level so that we don't lose out on that, the crucial position, elevation, or growth. So Amandeep, again, maybe starting with you, if you like
So,
to share your thoughts.
yeah, thank you, Sarika. So, adding on to what
And
Bhavna and
yeah, if you
Smita
guys
said.
can give your personal experience, anecdotes for us to learn, everybody to learn, that'll be great. Please
Sure,
go ahead,
sure,
Amandeep.
sure. So thank you so much. So I will add on to what Bhavna and Smita said. So there are mainly two factors behind this gap why women are not in the leadership position. So if the effort required for a male leader to succeed is 1.5x, and the effort required for a woman leader is 4x, because she has to put in 2x at work and 2x at home, and it is so hard. So most of the women tend to give up at different stages of their career, mostly at mid level. I've seen women, once they are expecting, they will not come back to work. And why should we work 4x harder for the same profile the men are into? The second factor is the perception held by top leadership in most of the organizations. So they still think that women will not be able to take tough decisions, they are not good managers, there may be less of dedication from them towards the work because of the multitasking they are doing at home or work front. So I want to share an example, a case study here. So there was this lady, Heidi Roizen, who was a successful Silicon Valley venture capitalist who became the subject of a case study at Columbia Business School. So one of the professors presented half his class with a case study with Heidi's name on it, and gave half of the class the same case study with the name changed to Howard. The student rated Howard and Heidi equally competent, but they liked Howard but not Heidi. So specifically, students felt that Heidi was significantly less likable, worthy of being hired than Howard, and perceived her as more selfish than Howard. So another school, the business school, did the same experiment, and the result came out that Heidi is more assertive. The essence of the research here is that a negative correlation of for women between power and success that come out actually in India or outside. For men, the relationship is positive. So successful men are perceived more powerful and reward. So fundamental challenge here is that women leadership arises from the mismatch between the qualities that traditionally we associate with leaders between men and women. So moderately assertive male leader will be well accepted and even considered charismatic, and whereas assertive women on the other hand is judged as being aggressive, not a role model leader. So this prejudice has to change, and I strongly believe that some of the successful big brands being led by women is just a matter of time. Like I work with a female co-founder, and I see the change now where my ideas are well perceived, well accepted. I'm on a decision making table. On every new thing I've been called and taken advice. So there is a change now I see with female co-founders.
Interesting. Gayatri or Bhavna, one of you can just share your views on that.
Yeah, I can share my view.
Yeah.
So yes, as women, we bring a very interesting perspective to any decision making process. And yes, my career span is like it's more than 20 years now. So when I started off my career, I've had an instance where when during at least the initial years of career, I've had children very early on in my early 20s, and I've had instances when I've had a male colleague being promoted rather than me for probably the same amount of work that I've put in, or probably even more than what he's put in. And I was told on my face that you can chill, you can go home on time. You have a small baby; it's not going to be easy for you. We need more hours of work to be put in. Might be difficult for you. Where I didn't have the courage that day at those initial years of my career to actually be more assertive and tell them that this is not accepted. And I've learned it the hard way. All these years I've learned it the hard way. So what we need to do now is to actually empower more women who are in our team, who are in our organization, to actually teach them our experiences, tell them that yes, see, have more self belief in yourself, be more assertive, take what you actually you deserve, ask for a raise, ask for a promotion that you rightly deserve. We women, traditionally we tend to actually accept that okay, this salary is enough, this position is
Yeah.
enough, it will give me my personal life and professional life balance. That's okay. We really don't put forth what we require at all. So that's something that we need to teach the next generation, our colleagues as well. I'm very lucky because I report to the chief marketing officer at Bangalore Airport, and she's dynamic. She's the head of our DNI program, and she's a very inclusive person. I see the way she really encourages women employees a lot. And even for Women's Day that's coming up, we have a lot of activities that are coming up, and I'm glad to be part of this kind of an inclusive environment. And especially for airports, how airports are mostly made, it's a
Yeah.
male dominated industry. The whole
Absolutely. Yes.
and to have this kind of an atmosphere here is lovely. And I'm really glad to be a part of it, and I would definitely want to empower more women and teach them my path, and teach them on how they could do better. Thanks.
We'll come to that as well. And I think there's a lot of assumption, like you and Amandeep are saying that about
Sarika,
women.
you're on mute.
Though, am I? I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are. You are.
Oh, I think. Can you hear me, Bhavna? I think Bhavna has some. Okay, yeah.
Connectivity.
Anyways, yeah. Moving on. Sunaina, would you like to share your views on the same? Then Smita, because I will come to a very interesting personal question also to you.
Sure. So I think to all Amandeep and Gayatri, what they said, I think my only takeaway is that, and the one thing that I have always told my team members, and otherwise also women in the organization, especially those at the mid level, is that women, I think that, and that's a global phenomenon, but maybe more so in Indian or an Asian context, we have a very deep rooted martyr syndrome. And guilt is something we
Yeah.
live with. And you compare this with a man, and I come from a very fortunate position because my husband and I are both equal co-parents. But most women tend to have a very deep-rooted guilt that they live with. So you don't ever feel comfortable either prioritizing your career or even prioritizing your own self over the responsibilities of your home, your office, and everything. And that's something that I've been constantly telling the women that I work with, especially those in mid-level positions, that this martyr syndrome needs to go. You are, I mean,
Right.
we've fed on this diet of Mother India and
Yeah.
everything. Nobody is giving you a bravery award on Republic Day because you've been such a great martyr and you've prioritized everybody and everything over yourself. Till the time we don't start letting go of that guilt, it is okay to take help to raise your children. It is okay to take help of your co-workers if you have anything challenging at home. It doesn't, and it is okay, most important, to make time for yourself. If you don't start letting go of that guilt and that I have to do everything and I have to do everything by myself, you will burn out by probably the mid of your career. And then you will start taking decisions for your career, for your personal life that may not serve you very well in the long term. So as Smita very rightly said, that if you've chosen to take a sabbatical, don't be constantly guilty about it. It's your choice and you've decided to do this. And similarly, if you've chosen to put your child in a daycare or in a boarding or have taken help of a nanny to support you in your child raising, don't feel guilty about it. That's my only two bits to this.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you, and that's what Indira Nooyi says in her books. I certainly recommend everyone to grab that copy and read. It really, like you said, we do feel guilty, but and then we end up losing out on opportunities, and then we feel that why am I losing out? I'm doing everything, but I agree that it's not how you would want. If you are, someone who's inspiring to go beyond and do more, please take help. Smita, your views on the same?
So I understand, Sarika, what you said was that why the difference in the whole leadership from entrance to leadership, right? The dropout. I honestly feel that there are, I mean, whether we accept it or not, there are gender stereotypes at workplace,
Right.
just that which needs to go. But and hence our generation is so crucial, right? Because we are the ones who can really impact that change. So wherever possible, I think one should speak up. I speak up, and like Gayatri, I think said a few minutes back that their personality differences, the way you're perceived by other people with the same personalities is different. So if a guy is speaking up, he is being honest and he is being a very in your face and not someone who is mincing his words. But if a girl does that, she's aggressive. But these stereotypes will stay. You just have to ignore it. We're just in that phase, right? We're just making the world a better place for the next generation of professionals, hopefully. Now, second is, I think, women themselves, because of the way we've been brought up, we've been asked to behave in a certain way, we tend to hold back. So I think that ability to have informal networking lacks in us, and that's where critical decisions are taken. So literally there used to be a time when you say, let's go for a drink and let's and then there's a lot of decisions that are taken, and I'm not saying you need to make yourself like that, but don't shy away from reaching out to someone on LinkedIn and asking for advice or seeking some kind of guidance. I've had a lot of people who reach out to me, and most of them are men. I don't have too many women reaching out, and I wonder why that. And then when I read, even when I read Lean In and a couple of similar books,
Yeah.
and Apparently it's a
Yes.
problem with women. They just can't network, because also you're double hatting, right? You're just working in office, then coming home, and that's this like a second job altogether. You might have a very supportive partner, but as women also, we are instinctively more, we are the caregivers, so we want to do more, even if our partners are like, we'll take care of it. So I think it's a lot on us as well. That's second. Third is, I think, at the leadership level, you see lesser women, so there's very
Yeah.
little to look up to. So you have to, and hence there's not much that we can seek from people like us. So look for a mentor, which women normally don't do. Speak up. Don't negotiate for your salary or for your promotion. And trust me, even I've done that. Don't negotiate for it when you feel you've already done the job. No, you negotiate for your promotion when you feel you are ready to contribute that much to the organization. You don't negotiate for it after you've already done it. uh, I think we believe that we are great negotiators because we just negotiate for everything else in life, but we are not good negotiators when it comes to workplace. I think when that goes off, the whole gender pay gap, which is a major thing, people look at it as a result of what we do. It's not. It is at the core. If the minute you start being treated equally, and that's a lot on us, then
Yeah.
everything else will fall into place. So yeah,
Right.
I think some of these is something I keep reiterating to the women that I know at workplace.
That was my next question, though, but you answered it
Oh,
right
sorry, I
away.
thought that was my
No,
question.
no issues, no issues, no issues. It sounds it's absolutely what we need to hear. And Bhavna, your views on this before we move on to the next question, if you can
Yes, please. Like most of the ladies have covered all of it, so I'm going to be real quick. I think the good thing is that on PR or communication industry, at least we have role models. Look at on the PR side, you've got Prema Sagar, who is at the helm of Genesis. Then you've got Sunaina Malik in Text 100 or Archetype now. Look at the comms side, women sitting here. I don't have to say much here.
yes,
Comms side,
yes,
most of it is led by women. So the good thing is at least people who are looking at becoming leaders in this industry would have role models. They will have sponsors, and that's the most important thing, not just the mentor. What you need is a sponsor. So I think they would have it, so that's a good thing. But generally the number is, horrendously, I mean, abysmally low. If you look at globally also,
yes,
Fortune 500 companies, it doesn't even touch 7.5%. I mean, man, look at 7.5%. It doesn't even touch that for women in the leadership. And why? There are plenty of reasons. Europe people have passionately written about that. There's data out there, and I want to steer clear of that. But I think some couple of things that I want to touch upon is like Amandeep, Gayathri, Smita, everybody, Sunaina, all of them mentioned it. This double, what is it? Double binder that catchphrase that you use for women. If she's not aggressive, I mean, she's putting her point of view. She's assertive, then she's a dragon lady. You know, if she's nice to people, and I had it a lot in during my reviews, I used to have this feedback time and again and time and again that I'm very soft with my people. So the thing that I used to say that I'm soft, I might not be able to take, difficult decision. I don't, I run away from confrontation. So I said that, look at the performance of my team. If they are doing well, whether I am nice to them, if I'm soft speaker, I laugh too much, or I am speaking, in a very assertive manner, how does that matter to you? Look at the performance. That's what matters. So I think for us also, we tend to the qualities that people see in us, whatever they think that our personalities are projecting, I think we tend to feel bad about it. We tend to get bogged down by this, and that's human. I think if you're going to tell a man again and again, hey, you're a dragon man, you're a dragon man, you are very assertive, you're aggressive, of course he's going to feel bad about it, and over time his performance is going to take a hit because of these things, the way he's going to speak to his team, or the way he's going to overthink the decision he's taking. So I think because women are prejudiced and they're the one who's shouldering all these things, so
yeah,
somewhere this come into play in our performances also over the period of time. If you're over and over again hearing this, they start to play in your mind. And then I think that's one thing. Other thing that I think for the leadership role is that, like, I think one of us here pointed out already, the confidence, and must have most of us would have read it about this woman CEO and a global woman CEO. She was up for the role. But the board of directors, they called a friend of hers, one of the guys, he called her separately and said, I'm sorry, you're not going to get it because your gender played against you. That. And then she had to quit and she became a global leader somewhere else and she was doing fantastically well. But
Yeah.
you have to accept these realities. That's the problem. Yeah.
True. It's a harsh reality, and I think we all need to work together to make sure that it changes. And like Smita said, it's in our hands, our generation and the generation after, who's probably watching this and probably seeing how to change things for them. But uh, like Smita gave an example of how she is trying to build her team and build that confidence to go to the next level, what would be your idea of what are the things one must do when they are young, or maybe in a managerial position or a position in executive, and would want to reach a certain level? Like I started off my career with Valerie. She's a great leader, and I looked up to her then, and I'm back in Weber working with her, and I really look up to her, the way she conducts
I'm
herself.
going to
She's
interrupt you there. I'm a Val fan as well. When I started my career with Val.
So exactly, you've known. So it's
I think all
great to
of
work
us
with
are. Quite a few of us are Val fans.
it's great to work with women leaders, and they're amazing. They understand you. They understand both the genders very well, and there's no assumption or there's no comment saying, "Oh, what's with you? Why are you behaving like this?" You can easily have a conversation versus probably working with a man boss. I don't know how it is, or what it should be like. Amandeep, you have something to say?
No, no, I think that's true. I had conversation with one of my founders, a female founder. So the heart-to-heart conversation if you're going through any problem. So that's easy.
Yeah, exactly. You can have a heart-to-heart conversation. I don't know why this bias, why this prejudice or assumption that women, like there is this gap of 30% that we say, and that shouldn't happen. There is a problem with the pays, it's not equal because we assume that we are not probably giving enough time, wherein all of us are working right now while managing our office work, sitting in this panel and talking, and then going back and probably handling our families as well, and probably our spouses are supporting us equally. So it's a lot in our hands as well, how we position, how we speak about it, and how we take this out to the, like I tell my daughter, if she wants to be me or someone like me or someone like any other leader, she needs to do it herself and not expect others to support. But yes, few words for the upcoming generation, please. We can start with Gayathri. What are the 2 3 things you think they should do in terms of learning or skilling or anything? Please share your views. You're on mute.
First of all, we for my daughter, whatever I have learned all these years, I keep telling her, empower yourself, develop those leadership skills. That's something that we don't actually teach our children, real leadership skills, which is going to help her in the long run, for her to
And I
in
think
her
schools also don't teach it. I think they should
schools
have a
don't teach
subject on
any
this.
kind of life skills are not actually taught. I really wish schools teach them these skills. How do you communicate, how do you be more assertive, how do you say no to things. These are the things that we need to actually teach our children, so when they come and enter into a workspace, they know where to say no. They know they can be heard as well. That's what I keep telling my team, all members of my team: be heard, speak out, whatever you feel, bring in your ideas, throw in your, I keep telling them, unless and we as women, if we don't put our hands up for everything and say what we want to say, nobody's going to nobody's going to actually wait and until keep asking you again and again. So any opportunity that you get to be heard, please put forth your ideas and be heard, is something that I would all teach my kids, my team members. And we as women, we bring in so much more than men to the table actually. So people think we are emotional, But then, we bring in all the different perspectives, the emotional, the empathy that's required, the creative thought process that's required.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And even personally, we are very futuristic in the way we think, more than men. We know, years in advance, we know how our life is going to be like 4 years later. So those perspectives,
Instinct. Yes.
we have that in basic instinct, and
Yeah.
that perspective of changing things in the department or bringing that futuristic view in a department, I think all that can be brought in by a woman. And that's something that I would love to, my daughter to become one day, or my team members to become one day, and become great leaders.
Yeah, basically speak up and make sure you're heard. So that's
Yes.
one takeaway is what I understand. Bhavna, your views on this? I remember you saying confidence. So
Yes, confidence. So that's sure, because one thing that I want to tell youngsters, whether especially women here, be confident in yourself. Don't think. What we tend to do is that we see a job, and I'm talking from personal experience, we see a job and we will then match our capability to that job or qualification. Unless we are at 110%, we are not going to apply for that, whether it is experience, qualification.
yeah,
While the men, and I give it to them, even if they're sitting at 50%, they'll take that risk. So I will tell women that be confident, and you owe it to yourself and your future. Don't sit there and wait for the right time. That's not never going to happen. Then you're going to miss it. One is that. Second thing, that for my own daughter, what I believe is that gender parity, we keep talking about it. That's not, it just doesn't end at women getting, in office or getting maybe equal pay. It doesn't even end at that. That's maybe the start of that journey. Well,
right.
there was this ad, and then I just happened to watch it I think a month or so back. They were asking questions to men and women, very general question. They started, do you love your dad? Do you love your mom? Stuff like that, very general questions. And then they started asking, when you bought your first car, who made that decision for you? And if that person has taken that responsibility on him or herself, then they would take 2 steps ahead, or otherwise they'll take 2 steps back. Then they ask question about, I think Sunaina has seen it. So then they'll ask question about your insurance. Have you taken your insurance on your own? Or your term insurance, do you have it? Your tax, who files it for you? Are you doing it yourself? And stuff like that. When it came to that financial literacy,
Yeah.
the stark difference that you would see there. The men, all of them, while initially they were going together, the women were 2 steps ahead of them, in fact, in some of the cases. By the end of it, they were standing on two, just different corners. And you could see that's where this whole thing exists, this bias, because somebody is not confident in you, your parent, your family, your society, that Bhavna will be able to make right decision when she's buying her car. Maybe they're not confident in it. They're not confident in my ability to go buy insurance or maybe take those financial decisions. And that's why you start becoming inconfident over the period of time. Then, like those mushy thing that used to float around, I don't know if they still do, like your parents did all this for you, and now when your mom is asking whether she should buy a red sari or a green sari, then you are not scrunching your nose and saying no, because that's what they've done to you. Like their
Yeah.
confidence is gone away, they're not able to take such a small decision that's won the society and everybody else and you yourself. All of you together have done for you. So I think unless we bring them to our kids in a way, the way if we are teaching our boy to wash utensils, then we got to teach our girl also to open her own bank account. I
True.
don't know, whatever it
True.
will take, but I think all of us will have to come together and then make this uh, the parity has to be brought in from this grassroots level. That's how it's going to happen, because I'm sorry if I'm taking too much time, but one example I want to give here is that this interesting example I came across is that, look at movies, look at how the women are portrayed in movies. How much time, screen time, not like smiling and dancing, I'm saying this real screen time is she getting, the female protagonist, the female lead,
Yeah.
how much
True.
time she's getting versus the male. Is she there just to enhance his character, smile around and dance? And is she talking to some other female on the screen? If yes, what is the conversation about? Is she talking about love and boys only? Is she having a meaningful conversation? And this is, by the way, called Bechdel test or Moore movie test. The problem with us in the society is right now it's a norm. We are okay with women being portrayed like that. We don't question it. we're not that aware. The minute the society becomes aware, we start questioning, hey, that's not women are all about, right? That's not the norm. That got to be abrasion. Unless that happens, this gender parity and everything, no matter how many discussion are we going to have, it's going to be a very
Yeah.
uphill task, what I believe.
Thank you. Thanks, Bhavna. That's quite a thought-provoking conversation. But Sunaina, your views and like, yeah, Anubhati is chasing us. We need to quickly
No,
close
I
this
think
session. But yeah,
most everybody has mostly said something, but I quite relate to Bhavna and the place where I work. It's the from the founders downward, everybody has this philosophy that financial literacy, and especially for women, is equally very important. So I think to your original question, what advice would I give to my team members? I don't have a daughter, but my nieces and all, is that one that I already said: let go of the guilt. You don't need to be a martyr. Second, be relevant.
right.
So whether it is upskilling yourself, whether it is reading up, be relevant, make time for yourself. And third, I think it's important to take your decisions of your life yourself. That doesn't mean that you need to alienate everybody in your life. You will, of course, like you go for advice to a lot of people, you can go to advice, go for an advice to people who are experts in these matters. But don't be in a situation where you don't know who's filing your taxes, or what's your salary structure looks like, or what should be a good term insurance plan for you, or what should be a good school for your children. So I think, add to what Gayatri said, I don't think whether this is measurable, but women generally have better intuitive skills. So you can actually do a good combination of your intuitive skills, your gut, with learnings that you've taken in your office, at your home, and be more, take more ownership of your decision. And that over a period of time builds leadership. And that's when people around you would see the leadership quality, leadership quotient in you as well.
Sure. That's great. Before we wrap up, Amandeep, your views?
So I want to say that women need to have their voice definitely, and they need to take risk. Definitely. If they don't take risk, if they will not rise. So I give my personal example. At every step in my career, I've taken a risk while moving from Ludhiana to Chandigarh, Chandigarh to Delhi, from agency to Copcom, and then specifically this job, I've taken a risk, and I always had a voice. So inside you, you always know where are you lacking, and what are your needs to go to a next level in the leadership position. So, for example, I always knew that where are my learning needs. So I always went up to my employer and said, "Hey, I want to do this course." I did my mutual fund 5-way CFP coaching, digital marketing course, all sponsored by my employer. One fine day, I went to my CEO. I said, "I'm doing good in communications. I want to learn product side too." So he gave me a product task working with engineers and tech team. So you need to have a voice if you want to. You need to continuously upskill yourself. Take a risk. It's okay. It's a new work. You will learn. You will do mistakes. That's okay. You will learn with your mistakes. So that's what I've done. That.
So basically, upskilling, learning, being relevant, confidence. Smita, you mentioned about speaking up. So I think if you want to add anything here, but if anything to speak on this piece, because you mentioned about speaking up to your colleagues, taking initiatives, and not being worried about what is the other person saying. So
Yeah. No. I think I've said what I had to Sarika, but I would like to share this experience. So I had a mentor in one of the organization, male mentor, a lot of respect. He still, you know, kind of figures out whether I'm doing fine, whether what in terms of career, and am I taking the right steps in life. So he had I used to work on his business. He is the managing director of one of the businesses, and I used to work on that business. And I remember I was not very happy with the with the pay hike and the and the uh, basically the assessment of my work, because I also happened to be on some health issue and I wasn't there at work for some time. So while I was working from home, bedridden, but still working from home, not a day's leave. But so he was more than me. I think he was very upset. And he turned around and he told me that day, and it stays with me even till date. He told me that, Smita, if you don't ask for it, you will not get it. So you ask for it. So I think that's what even Amandeep was trying to say. He said, you will
Right.
ask for it. And I did that. And guess what? I got it. I think I was around 6 months pregnant, and I went and asked for what was due. And I got it. I got a promotion at 8 months of pregnancy, 1 month before going into my maternity leave.
Wow,
So I
that's
think if
amazing.
you, because see, it's not even the, I don't see it as, I will not put it on the organization. There are thousands of thousands of employees there. Okay. If you have a team of like 50, 60 people, you have to you've got to get yourself heard, no one's going to take that responsibility for you. So I don't put it on anyone else, but the guys, they ask for it. And that's really something to learn from. We don't ask for it. So just ask for what you deserve, and ask. I just feel even if you don't deserve, you feel that you deserve it, then just ask for it, and you'll get it.
It's like what someone mentioned about being confident, how men do that easily than women. Anyways, I think we had a great session. Thank you very much. Sunaina, you wanted to share something. Maybe we can chat later if you want. But
I just add the last point to what Smita said, and this is what Sheryl Sandberg said. She said that when she was working at
right,
Google, she used to park and walk a long distance, and she was 8 months pregnant. And finally, when she asked the Google founders, "Why can't I, get pregnant women get parking closer to the office?" So they just looked at her and said, "Nobody ever asked."
right.
So if you
Interesting.
don't ask,
Ask
you're
for
not
it
going to get
is the takeaway, everybody. And over to you, Anubhuti. Thank you very much. Very interesting conversation. I'm very happy to connect with all of you. Anubhuti,
it.
all yours.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
great day.
you.
Thank,
Thank
thank
you.
you,
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Sarika.
everyone.
Some
Thank you
some
so
brilliant
much for being
takeaways
patient.
there. Some brilliant takeaways there for everyone listening in, for men and women alike, in fact, indeed. So thank you, Amandeep, Bhavna,
Thank you.
Gayatri, Smita, and Sunaina.